Commander Zixthar stood before the observation window of the Harmonious Accord, watching the blue planet below with growing fascination. His three eyes blinked in sequence as another brilliant flash of light split the sky across the planet's surface. The energy readings on his display spiked into dangerous levels. "Another one," his assistant Quilnor said, her voice trembling slightly. "That's the 14th strike in this sector alone in the past hour." Zixthar nodded slowly. In all his years exploring the galaxy for the Council, he had never seen anything like this. Lightning was rare on most worlds. His own home planet experienced perhaps 1 or 2 storms per year, and when they came, everyone took shelter deep underground. Lightning was chaos, raw electrical fury that no technology could truly control. Yet this small planet seemed to be drowning in it. "Pull up the surface scans again," he ordered. The holographic display changed, showing detailed images of the planet's surface. Structures dotted the landscape, clear signs of intelligent life. But what caught Zixthar's attention was how these structures stood tall, many with metal spires reaching toward the sky. And strangest of all, when lightning struck near these buildings, nothing happened. "No evacuation, no panic, no destruction. Look at this," Quilnor said, pointing to a cluster of readings. "These metal towers are everywhere, and according to our scans, they're deliberately placed to attract the lightning strikes." Zixthar felt a chill run through his body. "They attract them? On purpose?" "It appears so, Commander. And there's more." Quilnor brought up another image. "These lines here, they stretch for thousands of kilometers across the continents. Our analysis shows they carry electrical current. They're moving the lightning energy from place to place. This was impossible." The Galactic Council consisted of 47 different species, each with their own unique abilities and technologies. The Velthians could manipulate organic matter. The Kragnoth were masters of metallurgy. The Crystalline Collective could process information faster than any computer. But no species, not one, had ever managed to truly control lightning. It was too wild, too unpredictable, too dangerous. "What do we know about the inhabitants?" Zixthar asked. "They call themselves humans," Quilnor replied. "Bipedal, carbon-based, average height about 1.7 meters. They've only recently developed spaceflight capability, still limited to their own moon and nearby planets. By Council standards, they're primitive." "Primitive?" Zixthar repeated, staring at the metal towers below. "Quilnor, primitive species don't cage lightning." He ordered the ship to move into a lower orbit, wanting a closer look. Over the next several days, the crew of the Harmonious Accord watched the humans with increasing amazement. They saw humans walking through rainstorms, seemingly unconcerned as lightning flashed around them. They observed humans touching small devices that produced light instantly. They recorded humans entering vehicles that moved using captured electrical energy. Most incredibly, they watched as humans deliberately flew metal craft into the heart of massive storm systems, directly toward the lightning. "They're not afraid," Quilnor whispered during one observation session. "Commander, they're studying it. They fly into the storms to measure the lightning." Zixthar made his decision. This discovery was too important to keep to himself. He activated the long-range communication system and requested an emergency session with the Galactic Council. 3 days later, the Council assembled in their virtual chamber. Representatives from all 47 species appeared as holograms around the circular room. Councillor Vreem, an ancient reptilian being who had served on the Council for over 200 years, called the session to order. "Commander Zixthar," Vreem's voice echoed through the chamber, "you have requested this emergency session. What have you found?" Zixthar transmitted the data from Earth, along with the video recordings. The Council watched in silence as images of lightning storms, power lines, electrical substations, and humans walking calmly through it all played before them. When the presentation ended, chaos erupted in the Council chamber. Representatives shouted over each other, demanding explanations, questioning the data's authenticity, and expressing disbelief. "Order," Vreem commanded, and slowly the chamber quieted. "Commander Zixthar, are you certain of these findings? You're claiming this species has mastered control over lightning itself?" "I can only report what we've observed, Counselor," Zixthar replied. "They have structures that deliberately attract lightning strikes. They transport electrical energy across their entire planet. They show no fear of storms. And most remarkably, they use this captured lightning to power their entire civilization." A Kragnoth warrior named Draknor spoke up, his voice a deep rumble. "Perhaps they are warriors of exceptional courage. My people also face danger without flinching. With respect, Commander Draknor, Zixthar said. This is different. Your people face danger with bravery. These humans face lightning with indifference, as if it's no more dangerous than a gentle breeze. Counselor Vreem was quiet for a long moment, studying the images. Finally, she spoke. In the old times before the council, my people had legends. Stories of beings who could command the storm, who spoke to the sky and made it obey. We called them stormweavers. I always thought they were just myths. The chamber fell silent again. Every species had similar legends. Gods of thunder, spirits of lightning, beings of pure electrical power. But they were stories, nothing more. Or so they had always believed. What do you recommend, Commander? Vreem asked. Contact, Zixthar said firmly. We should send a diplomatic mission. If these humans have truly mastered such power, they deserve a place in the council. More than that, we need to understand how they achieved what we thought impossible. It could be dangerous, another counselor warned. If they can command lightning, what else might they be capable of? Which is exactly why we must approach them with respect, Vreem said. I agree with Commander Zixthar. We will send a diplomatic envoy. Ambassador Krell, you will lead the mission. A tall insectoid being with iridescent wings bowed deeply. Krell was known throughout the galaxy as one of the Council's finest diplomats, skilled in first contact situations. But even she looked nervous at this assignment. I am honored, Counselor, Krell said. But I must ask, how do we approach beings who command the sky itself? Carefully, Vreem replied. Very carefully. Study their culture from orbit first. Learn their language. And when you make contact, remember that you represent not just yourselves, but the entire Council. These Stormweavers could become our greatest allies or our most dangerous enemies. The choice may depend entirely on that first meeting. Back on Earth, Dr. Sarah Chen sat in her office at the SETI Institute, staring at her computer screen in disbelief. The signal was undeniable. For 3 days, her instruments had been picking up signs of an artificial object in orbit. Not a satellite, not space debris. Something big, something advanced, and something that was definitely not from Earth. She picked up her phone with shaking hands and dialed a number she had never expected to use. It rang twice before someone answered. This is Dr. Chen at SETI, she said, trying to keep her voice steady. I need to speak to someone in the government immediately. We're not alone anymore. Within hours, the news had reached the highest levels of government. President Okonkwo assembled an emergency response team. General Marcus Webb from the military, Dr. James Park, the world's leading expert in linguistics, and Sarah herself, who would serve as the scientific advisor. They gathered in a secure facility deep underground, watching satellite feeds of the alien vessel in orbit. It was enormous, easily the size of a small city, with graceful curves and what appeared to be observation windows running along its length. They're just watching us, General Webb said. They've been up there for over a week and haven't made any aggressive moves. Maybe they're as nervous as we are, Sarah suggested. First contact goes both ways. They don't know what to expect from us any more than we know what to expect from them. Dr. Park was analyzing radio signals the ship had been transmitting. They're trying to communicate. I think they're attempting to learn our languages. Give me a few days and I might be able to establish basic communication. President Okonkwo nodded. Do it and prepare a response team. When they decide to make contact, I want us ready. High above Earth, in the harmonious accord, Ambassador Krell studied the humans below and felt a strange mixture of fear and excitement. In 3 days, they would descend to the surface. They would meet these mysterious stormweavers face to face. She just hoped they would all survive the encounter. 3 months had passed since that first transmission. Now, Ambassador Krell stood in the landing bay of the harmonious accord, performing final checks on her personal shield generator. Beside her, Commander Zixthar and 3 other council members prepared for descent to the planet's surface. The humans have chosen a location in a place called Iceland, Zixthar said, reading from his datapad. It's a volcanic island in their northern hemisphere. They say it's neutral ground, beautiful and peaceful. Krell nodded, though her antennae twitched nervously. She had spent 3 months studying human culture, learning their primary languages, watching their broadcasts. The humans seemed friendly enough in their communications, but she couldn't shake the image of those metal towers deliberately calling lightning from the sky. The landing craft descended through Earth's atmosphere. As they broke through the clouds, Krell saw the landscape of Iceland spread below them. It was indeed beautiful, with green fields, dark volcanic rock, and steaming geothermal pools. But she also noticed something concerning. "Commander," she said quietly, "are those storm clouds approaching?" Zixthar checked his instruments. "Yes, Ambassador. A significant electrical storm system will reach our landing site within the hour. Should we delay the landing? The humans haven't suggested it. Perhaps they don't consider it dangerous. Of course they didn't," Krell thought. To beings who commanded lightning, a storm was probably nothing more than a minor inconvenience. The landing craft touched down in a flat area near the coast. A large pavilion had been constructed for the meeting, open on the sides but with a roof for shelter. As Krell and her delegation stepped out of the craft, she saw the human delegation approaching. There were 5 of them. A tall woman with dark skin who walked with the bearing of a leader, a military officer in a crisp uniform, a shorter Asian man carrying what appeared to be translation devices, a woman with short brown hair who seemed to be examining everything with intense curiosity, and a younger human, barely more than a juvenile, who looked excited rather than afraid. The tall woman stepped forward and smiled. "Welcome to Earth, I'm President Okonkwo. On behalf of humanity, we're honored to meet you." Krell performed the traditional council greeting, a complex gesture with her 4 arms. "I am Ambassador Krell of the Galactic Council. We are honored by your welcome." The translation devices worked perfectly. Dr. Park had done excellent work establishing communication protocols. The 2 groups approached each other slowly, and for a moment, there was awkward silence as they simply studied one another. Then the sky rumbled. Krell's personal shield activated automatically, a faint shimmer appearing around her body. The other council members did the same, their various defensive technologies springing to life. They all turned to look at the approaching storm clouds now clearly visible on the horizon, but the humans didn't move. President Okonkwo glanced at the sky, then back at Krell. "Don't worry about the weather. We'll be fine under the pavilion. Shall we begin?" Krell stared at her. The storm was perhaps 10 minutes away. Lightning already flickered in the distance. And the humans wanted to begin formal diplomatic discussions? "You do not fear the sky fire?" Krell asked, unable to stop herself. Sarah Chen, the SETI scientist, looked confused. "The lightning? We're perfectly safe here. The pavilion has lightning rods installed and we're not in any danger." Lightning rods? Of course, devices to control where the lightning struck. Krell felt a chill run through her body that had nothing to do with the cool Icelandic air. These beings spoke of controlling lightning strikes with the same casual tone her people might use to discuss directing water from a pipe. They moved into the pavilion and sat at a large round table. As the humans began their formal greeting speech, lightning struck a hill perhaps a kilometer away. The sound was deafening. Krell's shield flickered brighter, and she saw Quilnor actually duck behind Commander Zixthar. President Okonkwo paused in her speech, looked at the lightning strike, and then continued without missing a beat. "As I was saying," the president continued, "we hope this is the beginning of a long and fruitful relationship between our peoples." Over the next 2 hours, they discussed basic diplomatic protocols, exchanged information about their respective civilizations, and established preliminary terms for continued contact. The storm raged outside the entire time. Lightning struck repeatedly, sometimes close enough that the thunder was almost immediate. Rain pounded on the pavilion roof, and the humans never once showed any sign of concern. When the formal discussions concluded, Sarah Chen offered to give the council delegation a tour of Reykjavik, the nearby human city. Krell accepted, both out of diplomatic necessity and genuine curiosity. She needed to understand these storm weavers better. They traveled in human vehicles, which Krell found fascinating. "These are powered by electricity," Sarah explained. "We store it in batteries and use it to drive electric motors. You bind lightning into these small containers?" Quilner asked, her voice barely a whisper. Sarah laughed. "Well, it's not quite like that, but I suppose you could think of it that way." Krell's mind reeled. They carried captured lightning in their vehicles. They rode in machines powered by tamed electrical fury. In the city, the evidence was everywhere. Metal lines stretched between tall poles carrying power to every building. Sarah explained that this was their electrical grid, delivering power throughout the entire city. She said it so casually, as if describing something simple and ordinary. Inside a building, Sarah demonstrated a light switch. She placed her hand on a small lever and pushed it. Instantly, lights blazed to life overhead. Quilnor actually gasped. "You commanded the light to appear?" just by touching that device. It's just a switch, Sarah said, looking a bit puzzled by their reaction. It completes an electrical circuit. The electricity flows to the light bulbs and they produce light. But to Krell it looked like magic. A simple gesture and light appeared. No power source visible, no obvious mechanism. Just a human touching a device and their will becoming reality. They visited a power station next. General Webb explained how they generated electricity using geothermal energy from Iceland's volcanoes. Massive turbines spun, producing enormous amounts of electrical power. This facility provides power for the entire region, Webb said proudly. Clean, renewable energy. Krell looked at the massive structure, at the transformers and substations and miles of cable. This wasn't just controlling lightning. This was industrializing it, taming it on a scale she had never imagined possible. That evening they were invited to a human meal. The food was strange but not unpleasant. But what caught Krell's attention was how the humans cooked it. Electric stoves, microwave ovens, refrigerators humming with electrical power. In a human home, electricity was everywhere, powering everything as common as air. Dr. Park tried to explain the principles. It's really quite simple, he said. Electrical current is just the flow of electrons through a conductor. We learn to generate it, store it, and use it for work. Any civilization with sufficient understanding of physics can do it. Krell nodded politely, but she didn't believe him. This wasn't just physics. This was mastery. Humans had taken the most dangerous force in nature and made it serve them. They had transformed terror into a tool. Later that night, back on the Harmonious Accord, Krell composed her report to the council. Her hands trembled slightly as she wrote. The humans are more powerful than we imagined, she wrote. They do not simply control lightning. They have built their entire civilization upon it. Every aspect of their society, from transportation to communication to food preparation, relies on captured electrical energy. They manipulate it with casual ease, teaching even their children to command these forces. She paused, then added one more line. I believe we are in the presence of a truly extraordinary species. I recommend immediate consideration for council membership. The Stormweavers of Earth must be treated as equals, possibly as superiors in their domain. To underestimate them would be a grave mistake. Krell sent the report and sat back, staring out at the blue planet below. Somewhere down there, billions of humans were going about their daily lives, casually using power that would terrify most species in the galaxy. She found herself feeling two conflicting emotions, fear at what these beings might be capable of, and hope that they would choose to be friends rather than enemies. The Galactic Council received Krell's report within hours. The response was swift and unanimous. Earth would be invited to send a delegation to the Council station itself. There, they would undergo the traditional demonstration, showing what unique gift their species could offer to the galactic community. For the humans, it seemed like an incredible honor, an invitation to join an ancient federation of worlds. For the Council, it was a test. They needed to see the true extent of human power before deciding how to proceed. Neither side realized they were talking about completely different things. Sarah Chen stood in the conference room, staring at the holographic display showing the Council station. It was massive, a structure that orbited a neutron star and housed representatives from 47 different species. In 6 months, Earth's delegation would travel there and present humanity's contribution to galactic civilization. So what do we show them? General Webb asked, leaning back in his chair. Our military technology? Our space program? No, Dr. Park said firmly. This isn't about showing strength. It's about demonstrating what makes us unique. Our culture, our art, our diversity. President Okonkwo shook her head. I've been reviewing what other species presented when they joined the Council. The Velthians showed biotechnology that can terraform dead worlds. The Kragnoth demonstrated metallurgy that makes our strongest alloys look like paper. We need something substantial. Sarah had been quiet, but now she spoke up. I've been going over all our interactions with Ambassador Krell and her team. Has anyone else noticed how they react to our technology? They seem impressed, Webb said, which is odd considering they have faster-than-light travel and we're still using chemical rockets. It's more than impressed, Sarah said. They seem almost afraid, especially around anything electrical. When I turned on a light switch, Quilnor looked at me like I'd performed a miracle. Dr. Park frowned. You think they're intimidated by our electrical grid? I think they misunderstand it, Sarah said slowly. Remember when Krell asked if we feared the sky fire? She meant lightning. And when we showed them power lines, they kept using phrases like captured lightning and commanded energy. What if they think we can actually control natural lightning? The room fell silent. General Webb laughed first. That's ridiculous. Any species with basic physics knowledge would understand electrical generation. Would they? Sarah pulled up videos from their meetings. Look at this. Every time lightning strikes near us, we barely react. But look at them. Shields activate automatically. They flinch. On their homeworld, lightning must be incredibly rare or dangerous. They might not have evolved with electrical storms like we did. President Okonkwo watched the videos, her expression growing concerned. If you're right, we need to correct this misunderstanding before the council gathering. Or we could let them keep believing it, Webb said. It gives us an advantage. They respect power. It's dishonest, Sarah argued, and dangerous. What happens when they realize the truth? They'll think we deliberately deceived them. The debate continued for hours, but ultimately they decided Sarah was right. They would need to explain electrical engineering properly at the council gathering. But first they had to prepare for the journey itself. Meanwhile, on the council station, Ambassador Krell was dealing with a different kind of preparation. News of the Stormweavers had spread throughout the galactic community, and everyone had opinions. The Kragnoth clans were skeptical. We should test them, Draknor insisted. Make them prove their power in combat. Words mean nothing without demonstration. The Fluffernauts, small furry beings who prized peace above all else, were terrified. What if they become angry? What if they turn their lightning against us? The Crystalline Collective was fascinated. We must study their techniques. Imagine what we could learn if we could replicate their control over electrical phenomena. Only Counselor Vreem remained quiet, watching and listening. Finally, she spoke. We must remember that different does not mean dangerous. Yes, the humans have abilities we don't understand, but they have also been nothing but courteous and peaceful. Let us not judge them before we truly know them. Back on Earth, a special program was created to help prepare for the council visit. Young people from around the world were selected to learn about alien cultures and potentially join future diplomatic missions. Among them was Maya Rodriguez, a 17-year-old engineering student from Mexico City. Maya was brilliant. She had already published 2 papers on electrical circuit design and held 3 patents. When she learned she would be paired with Quilnor, Zixthar's young assistant, she was thrilled. Their first meeting was held via holographic communication. Quilnor appeared as a shimmering blue figure in Maya's university lab. It's an honor to meet you, Quilnor said, her voice carrying an undertone of nervousness. I've heard that human juveniles begin training in lightning control at a very young age. Maya laughed. Lightning control? No, we learn about electricity. It's different. Here, let me show you. She held up a simple circuit board. This is a basic electrical circuit. You have a power source here, conductors, these wires, and a load, this LED light. When you close the circuit, electrons flow from the negative terminal to the positive terminal, and the LED lights up. She flipped a switch, and the LED glowed. Quilnor stared in amazement. You commanded it to light, just like that. I didn't command anything, Maya said patiently. It's physics, electrons flowing through a conductor. Here the equation is simple. Voltage equals current times resistance. VR. Ohm's law. But Quilnor seemed to interpret this as some kind of mystical formula. The ancient words of power, she whispered. Maya felt a growing sense of confusion. Why did Quilnor keep talking about this like it was magic? Over the following weeks, Maya tried repeatedly to explain electrical engineering in simple terms. She showed Quilnor batteries, generators, transformers, and circuits. She drew diagrams and solved equations. But somehow, Quilnor always seemed to think Maya was describing some kind of special human ability, rather than basic physics. Don't your people use electricity? Maya finally asked. We have some electrical technology, Quilnor said, but it's difficult and dangerous. Our devices are built to shield us from electrical effects, not to harness them. The idea of deliberately working with such forces, touching conductors with your bare hands, creating circuits without safety barriers, it's incredible. Terrifying, but incredible. That conversation bothered Maya. She reported it to Sarah Chen, who added it to her growing file of evidence that something was seriously wrong with the aliens' understanding of human technology. Then, 3 months. Before the scheduled council gathering, everything changed. A joint training exercise was planned. Human and alien engineers would work together on a project, building a small communication relay satellite. It was supposed to be a simple team-building exercise. The exercise took place aboard the Harmonious Accord. Maya was there, along with a team of human engineers. They were working in one of the ship's laboratories when it happened. A solar storm hit, not a major one by Earth standards, but powerful enough to cause electromagnetic interference. Alarms blared throughout the ship. Alien technology began failing. Computer systems crashed. Backup generators stuttered and died. The aliens panicked. They had never dealt with this kind of interference before. Their technology was designed to be resistant to most forms of disruption, but this particular combination of electromagnetic frequencies overwhelmed their systems. The human engineers, however, barely paused in their work. They had dealt with solar storms before. Their equipment, designed with redundancy and shielding, continued operating. Maya noticed that one of the alien computers was sparking. Dangerous electrical discharge was building up in its circuits. Without thinking, she grabbed a tool and opened the panel. "No," Quilnor shouted, "don't touch it, the lightning will kill you." But Maya had already identified the problem. A feedback loop in the power supply was causing the discharge. She disconnected. One circuit rerouted power through a backup pathway and reconnected everything. The sparking stopped. The computer rebooted successfully. The entire alien crew stared at her in stunned silence. "You touched the raw circuits," Zixthar said, his voice filled with awe. "You felt the electrical flow and commanded it to change paths. You tamed wild energy with your bare hands." "I just rerouted the power," Maya said, confused by their reaction. "It's basic troubleshooting. Anyone with electrical engineering training could do it." But the aliens didn't believe her. To them, what she had done was impossible. She had reached into a malfunctioning electrical system, one that was actively dangerous, and fixed it through direct manipulation. It was like taming a wild animal with nothing but your bare hands. Word of the incident spread quickly through the alien community. The Stormweavers were even more powerful than anyone had realized. Even their young could control electrical energy directly, without tools or safety equipment. Sarah received the reports and felt her concern grow into real alarm. The misunderstanding was getting worse, not better. And now they were only 3 months from the council gathering. She called an emergency meeting with President Okonkwo. "We have to tell them the truth," Sarah insisted. "Before this gets any more out of hand, they think we're some kind of magical beings who can control lightning through force of will. When they find out we're just using basic physics, they're going to feel deceived." "I agree," Okonkwo said. "We'll make it the focus of our presentation to the council. A complete explanation of electrical engineering, from first principles." They began preparing the most comprehensive explanation of electricity ever created. Maxwell's equations, circuit theory, generator design, everything. They would show the council that there was no magic, no special power, just understanding and application of natural laws. The council station was the most incredible thing Sarah had ever seen. It hung in space near a neutron star, protected by shimmering quantum shields that bent light into impossible colors. The station itself was enormous, easily 50 kilometers across. A ring of interconnected modules housing representatives from 47 different species. As the Harmonious Accord approached the docking bay, Maya pressed her face against the observation window like a child. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "It's also terrifying," General Webb muttered. "We're about to stand before the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy and explain that we're not actually magical lightning wizards." The docking procedures took an hour. Then Ambassador Krell escorted them through the station's corridors. The sheer diversity was overwhelming. Beings of every shape and size moved through the halls. Some walked, some floated, some seemed to phase in and out of visibility. The council chamber is this way, Krell said. Her antennae twitched nervously. I must warn you, there is much anticipation for your demonstration. Some species are eager to learn from you. Others are skeptical. A few are afraid. Afraid of us? President Okonkwo asked. You command lightning, Krell said simply. Many of us grew up with stories of storm gods, beings of pure electrical energy who could destroy worlds. When we learned that such beings were real, that they walked among the stars, that they welcomed us as friends, it changed everything. Sarah felt sick. The misunderstanding was even worse than she had feared. They weren't just impressed by human technology. They had elevated humans into mythology. The council chamber was a vast amphitheater. 47 different seating sections ringed a central stage, each designed for a different species' needs. Some sections had water tanks. Others had extremely high or low gravity. One section was kept at temperatures that would boil water. At the highest point sat Counselor Vreem. The ancient reptilian being looked down at the gathered species with calm, knowing eyes. We begin the demonstrations, Vreem announced, her voice carrying through some kind of advanced acoustic system. Each candidate species will show us their unique contribution to galactic civilization. First, the Velthians will demonstrate their biotechnology. Sarah watched as a team of beings who looked like walking plants took the stage. They presented a revolutionary technique for restoring dead ecosystems. It was incredible, genuinely world-changing technology. Next came the Kragnoth with advanced alloys. Then the Crystalline Collective with quantum computing. Each demonstration was more impressive than the last. Each represented decades or centuries of research and development. Finally, it was humanity's turn. Sarah walked onto the stage with her team. She carried a simple laptop computer and a few circuit boards. It looked pathetic compared to the advanced technology that had been displayed before them. Honored council members, Sarah began, her voice shaking slightly. There's something we need to clarify. We've become aware that there may be a misunderstanding about human capabilities. We don't actually command lightning. We understand the principles of electricity and use that knowledge to... Alarms erupted throughout the station. Red lights flashed. A piercing siren made everyone cover their ears or auditory organs. Counselor Vreem stood up, her calm demeanor gone. The quantum shields are failing, she announced. All delegates evacuate to your ships immediately. Chaos erupted in the chamber. Species scrambled for exits. Some flew, some ran, some simply teleported away. Sarah's team stood frozen, uncertain what to do. Ambassador Krell appeared beside them. Come with me to the Harmonious Accord. Quickly, they ran through corridors filled with panicking aliens. Maya kept asking questions. What's happening? What are quantum shields? They protect us from the neutron star's radiation, Krell explained as they ran. Without them, this entire station will be flooded with lethal energy within minutes. They reached a command center where dozens of alien engineers were working frantically at control panels. None of them seemed to know what to do. Systems were failing faster than they could compensate. Zixthar was there, his 3 eyes wide with fear. It's a cascading failure in the electrical systems. The shield generators are still functioning, but they're not receiving power. Everything is shorting out. Sarah pushed forward. Let me see the system diagram. An alien engineer pulled up a holographic display. Sarah studied it, her mind racing. It was incredibly advanced technology, far beyond anything humans had built. But the problem itself was familiar. It's a feedback loop, she said. The power distribution network is creating a standing wave. Each generator is fighting against the others instead of working together. Can you stop it? Krell asked desperately. Maybe, but I need to understand your power systems better. Where are the main conduits? You can't reach them, Zixthar said. They run through maintenance shafts. High electrical potential. No safety systems. Anyone who enters those shafts will be killed by the discharge. Not necessarily, Maya said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. The teenage girl stepped forward, studying the diagram. If the potential is building up because of the feedback loop, we need to isolate the damaged sections and reroute power around them. It's like when we had that blackout in Mexico City. Same principle, bigger scale. You're suggesting manual intervention, an alien engineer said. That's impossible. The electrical forces in those conduits would destroy any being that touched them. General Webb looked at Sarah. You said they think we control lightning. Sarah understood immediately. The aliens believed humans could survive electrical contact, because they thought humans had some special power. The truth was different. Humans just understood how to work safely with electricity, but right now that distinction didn't matter. "We can do it," Sarah said, "but we need access to your maintenance systems and we need you to trust us." Krell looked at Counselor Vreem, who had arrived at the command center. The ancient counselor studied the humans for a long moment. "Give them access," Vreem said. "If anyone can save us, it's the Stormweavers." The next 3 hours were the most intense of Sarah's life. She and Maya crawled through maintenance shafts that no alien would dare enter. The electrical potential in those spaces was incredible. Sparks flew from damaged conduits. The air itself seemed to hum with energy, but Sarah knew the principles. She knew how to check for live wires, how to identify safe paths, how to work with electrical systems without becoming part of the circuit. She showed Maya where to place insulation, how to isolate damaged sections, where to reroute power. General Webb coordinated with alien engineers, using his military training to organize the chaos. Dr. Park helped translate technical terms, finding equivalent concepts in alien languages. President Okonkwo kept everyone calm, preventing the panic from spreading. It was Maya who found the main problem. Deep in the station's core, a critical junction had failed. The damaged component was surrounded by active high-voltage systems. Reaching it meant navigating through a maze of live electrical conduits. "I can do it," Maya said into her communicator. "It's too dangerous," Sarah responded. "Even for us, we don't have a choice. The shields will fail completely in 15 minutes. This is the only way." Maya was right, and Sarah knew it. "Be careful. Follow every safety protocol, and Maya, make us proud." Maya moved through the junction space with the confidence of someone who understood exactly what she was doing. She identified which cables were hot, which were ground, which were safe to touch. She used insulated tools to disconnect the damaged junction and installed a bypass that rerouted power around the problem. In the command center, Sarah watched readouts stabilize. Power flow normalized. The feedback loop was broken. The quantum shield stopped flickering. The deadly radiation from the neutron star was blocked once more. A cheer erupted throughout the station. Species that had been enemies moments ago embraced in relief. The crisis was over. Maya emerged from the maintenance shaft exhausted and covered in some kind of alien lubricant. Quilnor rushed forward and threw her arms around the human girl. "You saved us all," Quilnor said, tears streaming down her face. "You faced the wild lightning and bent it to your will." Maya was too tired to correct her. She just smiled and said, "I'm glad I could help." Later, back in the council chamber, the mood was completely different. Every species present had witnessed humans literally diving into electrical systems that would kill any of them. They had seen a teenage human girl casually manipulate high-voltage systems with her bare hands and simple tools, the Stormweaver. Mythology was now confirmed as fact in the minds of 47 different species. Sarah stood on the stage again, knowing that she still needed to explain the truth. But looking at the grateful faces, the awestruck expressions, the respect in their eyes, she wondered if anyone would believe her now. "Honored Council," Sarah began, "I want to explain what really happened today." But before she could continue, Counselor Vreem raised a hand for silence. The ancient being fixed Sarah with an unreadable expression. "Tomorrow," Vreem said. "Tonight we celebrate survival. Tomorrow you will tell us your truth, Stormweaver, and we will listen." Sarah nodded, knowing that tomorrow would determine Earth's future in the galaxy. Would the Council accept the truth? Or would they feel betrayed when they learned that human power came from understanding, not mysticism? Sarah didn't sleep that night. She sat in her quarters aboard the Harmonious Accord, staring at her notes and trying to figure out how to explain the truth without destroying everything they had built. Maya found her there at dawn, or what passed for dawn on the station's artificial day cycle. "You're worried," Maya said, sitting down beside her. "They think we're magical beings," Sarah said. "When we tell them we're not, that it's just physics and engineering, they're going to feel lied to. Some of them might get angry. We could lose our chance at council membership. Or," Maya said thoughtfully, "they might understand that what we did is even more impressive precisely because we're not magical." Sarah looked at the young woman. "What do you mean?" "Think about it. We don't have some innate power over electricity. We had to learn it, study it, build tools and develop techniques. We turned something terrifying into something useful through effort and intelligence. Isn't that more remarkable than just being born with an ability?" Sarah smiled. When did you get so wise? I'm an engineering student, Maya grinned. We learn to solve problems. The council chamber filled early that morning. Every delegate wanted to hear what the Stormweavers would say. Sarah noticed that the seating arrangements had changed. The human section had been moved closer to Councillor Vreem's position, a place of honor usually reserved for the most respected species. Sarah took the stage with her entire team. She had decided that if they were going to do this, they would do it together. Honored Council, Sarah began. Yesterday you saw humans working with electrical systems. You've been calling us Stormweavers, beings who command lightning. I need to tell you something important. We don't command lightning. We understand it. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Sarah pulled up a holographic display. This is an electron, she said, showing a simple atomic model. A subatomic particle with a negative charge. When electrons move through a conductor, we call that electrical current. Lightning is just a massive discharge of electrons between clouds and the ground, or between different clouds. She showed Maxwell's equations next. These formulas describe how electrical and magnetic fields work. They were discovered by a human scientist named James Maxwell over 100 years ago. Using these equations, we learned to generate electricity, control it, and use it safely. Ambassador Krell stood up. But we saw you touch live electrical systems. We saw Maya enter spaces filled with deadly potential. How is this not commanding the lightning? It's understanding safety principles, Maya said, taking over. She pulled up a circuit diagram. When you work with electricity, you need to know where current can flow. Electricity always takes the path of least resistance. If you're properly insulated, if you don't create a path to ground, the current won't flow through you. She demonstrated with a simple circuit. See? The electricity flows through the wire because copper is a good conductor. It doesn't flow through my body because I'm not touching both terminals and I'm standing on an insulated surface. Quilnor spoke up from the audience. But your home planet has so much lightning. You face electrical storms constantly. Surely that requires some special adaptation. Dr. Park stepped forward. Actually, it's the opposite. Because Earth has frequent lightning storms, our ancestors learned to fear and respect them. They developed strategies to stay safe. Eventually, through scientific inquiry, we learned what lightning actually was and how to protect ourselves from it. Lightning rods, Sarah continued, are simple devices. They're just tall metal poles connected to the ground. They provide an easy path for lightning to follow, so it strikes the rod instead of a building. Franklin invented them in 1752. No magic, just understanding how electrical discharge works. President Okonkwo took over the presentation. Everything you've seen us do with electricity is based on principles that any species can learn. Generation, transmission, storage, and usage of electrical power. We don't have any special ability. We just invested time and effort into understanding these principles. The chamber was silent. Sarah couldn't read the alien expressions. Were they disappointed? Angry? Confused? Then a voice rang out. It was Draknor, the Kragnoth warrior. You're telling us that you're not storm gods? No, Sarah said firmly. We're not gods of any kind. We're just humans who learned science and engineering. But you saved the entire station, another delegate protested. You went into places that would kill any of us. General Webb spoke up. Because we knew how to stay safe. We understood the dangers and how to mitigate them. Any of you could learn the same techniques. In fact, we'd be happy to teach you. That caused an even bigger stir. Species began talking among themselves. Some seemed excited. Others looked skeptical. A few appeared offended. Then Councillor Vreem stood. The entire chamber fell silent. I am old, Vreem said slowly. I have seen many wonders in my 2 centuries of life. I have witnessed technological marvels from dozens of species. But I don't think I've ever seen anything quite as remarkable as what the humans have shown us. Sarah held her breath. When we first observed humans, Vreem continued, we saw beings who seemed to command the most terrifying force in nature. We built myths around you, stormweavers, lightning gods, beings of pure electrical energy, and you allowed us to believe these myths perhaps because you didn't realize we believed them. We tried to explain, Sarah said, but the misunderstanding kept growing. Indeed, Vreem nodded. And now you stand before us and tear down the mythology. You tell us you're not gods, just scientists, just engineers, just beings who studied and learned and practiced until you mastered something that terrified you. Vreem's expression was unreadable. Some might see this as a disappointment. You're not as powerful as we thought. Sarah's heart sank. But I see something different, Vreem continued. I see a species that faced its fears and conquered them through understanding. I see beings who didn't need divine power because they developed knowledge instead. I see teachers who offer to share their wisdom, rather than hoarding it as a source of power. The ancient counselor looked around the chamber. Every species here has contributed something unique to the council. The Velthians gave us biotechnology. The Kragnoth gave us metallurgy. The Crystalline Collective gave us quantum computing. But what the humans offer is perhaps more valuable than any single technology. They offer us a method, Vreem said, a way of thinking. They show us that no problem is too dangerous if you approach it with curiosity, patience, and systematic study. They prove that you don't need to be born with special abilities to achieve remarkable things. Vreem sat down. I vote to accept humanity into the Galactic Council, not as Stormweavers, but as teachers and learners both. One by one, other species voiced their agreement. The Crystalline Collective wanted to study human scientific methods. The Kragnoth respected the courage to face danger through preparation rather than brute force. Even the Fluffernauts, who had been terrified of human power, felt safer knowing that power came from knowledge that could be controlled and regulated. The vote was unanimous. Earth would become the 48th member of the Galactic Council. After the ceremony, Ambassador Krell approached Sarah privately. I feel foolish, Krell admitted. We built such mythology around your species. We saw you as almost godlike. You saw what you expected to see, Sarah said gently. Your species evolved on a world with little lightning. To you, electrical storms are rare and terrifying. You developed technology to avoid electricity rather than harness it. It's natural that you'd be impressed by beings who work with it daily. Will you really teach us? Krell asked. Electrical engineering, as you call it? Of course, Sarah said. That's what scientists do. We share knowledge, build on each other's work, and advance together. 6 months later, the cultural exchange programs were in full swing. Human engineers taught classes on electrical theory to dozens of alien species. In return, humans learned about quantum mechanics, biotechnology, faster-than-light physics, and countless other fields where other species had advanced beyond Earth's capabilities. Maya ran the most popular program, a hands-on workshop where young beings from various species learned basic circuit design. Quilnor was her teaching assistant, having overcome her fear of electricity through understanding. It's amazing, Quilnor said one day, watching a young Fluffernaut successfully light an LED for the first time. 6 months ago, my people were terrified of humans. Now we're learning from you, working alongside you, becoming friends. That's what happens when you replace fear with understanding, Maya said. On Earth, Sarah gave a press conference about humanity's place in the galactic community. People ask me if I'm disappointed, Sarah said. They say, weren't you cooler when the aliens thought you were lightning gods? And I tell them no. Being thought of as gods meant being kept at a distance, feared rather than understood. Being recognized as fellow learners, as teachers and students both, that's worth so much more. We didn't join the Galactic Council as Stormweavers, Sarah continued. We joined as humans. Curious, determined, resourceful humans who face our problems with science and reason. And honestly, I think that's better. Up on the council station, Counselor Vreem watched the broadcast and smiled her reptilian smile. The old counselor had seen many species join the council over the centuries.